What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another MD Fish Tanks build video. Behind me is two racking systems, but look, there's a big hole there, isn't there? There's one tank not filled. This is the last tank on the whole rack that hasn't got anything in it. Let's change that. So here's the deal. Very recently I set up this tank you can see here for my platies. That is doing great, off to an absolute flying start. We've got a lot of green dotted around now. Everything's just so green, isn't it? So what do you say on this one we do a nice Blackwater scape? I've done one before, it did very well, and it's still going actually. Follow me. So studio number 2. Over here though is where my other Blackwater is. It's got quite a little bit of algae on the sides there, but I think it just adds to the authenticity of this tank. The neon Tetra seem to absolutely love it, and the tank is just, it's been pretty much the same since day one. I mean, the Blackwater scapes kind of always are, but with the fish I've got in mind for the next tank, that actually makes sense. But yeah, let me just feed these guys for you so you can see how cool they react. Yeah, anyway, enough of that. So in this tank, I've got the wood sort of arching in and not a lot on the bottom. I want to do something a little bit different in the new tank. You don't want to do everything the same all the time, do you? So I want to do some nice rounded pebbles. You guys know I love the rounded pebbles, but with like a centerpiece of wood as well. But nothing like the other wood. The other wood was really chunky, kind of like this stuff here. I want to use like thinner wood, more sort of brushy wood. I don't even know what it's called, to be honest. If I bring you over here to my wood store, you can see what I mean. So like this is the thick, chunky sort of river wood. And then this is the kind of wood I want to use this time. It's like brushy. Do you know what I mean? You can see what I mean by brushy. So we've got that. We've got quite a bit of it there to use. And then here, look, I've got like catappa leaves they are. These are the things that give the tannings to the water to make it look brown. People keep telling me off for saying tannings. It's tannins. Sorry. Oh. Anyway, let's start off with that pebble base and then we can build around that. Okay, so that looks pretty cool, but there isn't a lot of height there. Those are all my biggest stones, so down in my pile, you can see there's not a huge amount left in terms of size, but what we can do is build up around it with smaller pieces, and remember, we've still got the wood to go on, so that's going to give us our height as well. Okay, important note here, what you want to do with your sand, take off the top pieces of rock like that and just fill in any gaps underneath it, because that'll be a prime area otherwise for pieces of detritus, food, poop, all of that to collect. So if we fill that in, we can stop any of that happening, and you know, it'll just stop problems later on. I've had this before, and yeah, that solves it. So that sand colour I think really does complement the rocks completely. It's just pool filter sand. Now the thing with pool filter sand is that sometimes the batch is completely different colour from the last. The last one I had was more white, this one's more sort of orangey. It's okay, it looks cool, I'm not complaining. But what I want to do now, what I want to do now is add lots of finer like gravel or pebbly bits as well, just to add more detail because it's a bit sterile at the moment. Okay, remember, it's very easy to overdo it, so I'm going to leave it at that and get the wood and see how we're looking. Remember, it's quite easy to add more, but it can be really annoying to take stuff away, so don't be afraid to just leave it and carry on. We can come back to it, add more whenever we want to. Now, remember, I've not put a background on this tank, so you're going to see the filter. I thought it looked quite cool. You know, it's not going to hurt. It's going to be dark water anyway, so you won't see too much. But yeah, anyway, let's get that wood in. I think this can work. I just need to find a way to sort of set them down more. Obviously there's so many small pieces of twigs and that just holding them up. So if I just like break them, cut them or something, it's going to take a little bit of time. But for a start, they're on the same level at the moment and that just doesn't look great. I need to bring this one down to sit more on there. Maybe we can bring some stones in up underneath as well so that it's up on a sort of ledge trailing downwards. That will look really good. Let's try and do that. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. See, so 2 different levels. We've built underneath. I mean, it still kind of looks like it's floating a little bit, but I like the effect that it's giving, as if like the sort of soil or something has been washed away and the root system of the plant or whatever, the bush, whatever is on the edge of the riverbank is still there. That's the sort of look I'm going for here. I really like it. It's got some good depth going on, not too complicated, something everyone can recreate, and that's the sort of scapes I like doing, guys. Yeah, so the problem is now though that I've created more caverns in the middle. I've got to fill them in with sand, remember. Really happy with that. I need to glue it down though, because when we fill that with water, the whole thing will just lift up, so that's not good. We can use our cyanoacrylate super glue gel, completely fish, plant safe, we're all good with that. Right, that should all now be locked in place. It usually takes a good 12 to 24 hours for the glue to be, you know, fully rock hard. But if you leave it an hour or two and then come back to it, it's hard enough for you to be able to, you know, carry on with Escape, and stuff's not going to get dislodged and everything. So yeah, go away, have a bit of food, breakfast, dinner, whatever, and then come back and you can crack on. So next up, guys, it's time to put in our catappa leaves. Now, there's multiple ways to do this. You can either like boil them up first in a saucepan or whatever, or microwave, doesn't really matter. Or you can just do what I'm gonna do now and take them out and then just sort of put a rock on top of them and just lay them in the aquarium, and then they'll just naturally release their tannings, and after like a day or two, they'll actually just stay sunk, or stay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they'll stay on the bottom of the tank and they'll just be releasing their tannings nicely. I find that when you boil them up and get all the sort of tannings out of them, it makes like a cloudy sort of soup, and when you put that into your tank, it takes ages for it to go good again. So if you could just put them in and just pin them down and just be happy that, you know, in a couple of days you can move them around to where you want them to be, I find that's the best way of doing it. So yeah, it's just as simple as that, pinning them underneath the rocks. I've just hung some inside that wood as well. And now it's just a case of filling the tank up with water and letting magic take tannings, yeah, whatever.
So it's now been 24 hours since I put the catappa leaves in. Let's take a look and see how it's getting on.
Oh, well, first impressions are it's looking so good, but I think you can see there's a slight cloudiness to the water. Now we can just do a nice water change on that. Yes, it will remove some of the tannins that have already been released, because look, if I step back you can see it's got a really nice sort of brown tinge to it already, and from the top you can really see it as well. But yeah, so we'll remove some of those tannins to do a water change, but it doesn't matter because, you know, all these leaves are just going to keep leaching it. I could probably add some more as well, but eventually you get the tanning effect but without the cloudiness. Now that happens with time, so you've got to be a little bit patient. Normally it takes 2 or 3, 4 days, something like that. Keep your water changes going to start with, and then the tannins get released in like a sort of crystal clear kind of way. That's what I've always found anyway. Right, there we go. It already got less murkiness, and those tannins will now just get stronger and stronger, and hopefully we will now stay like crystal clear water as well. Let's just give it a few days and then come back and we can start adding some floating plants in, and then the fish.
Okay guys, so it's now been 3 days since the last clip and the tank is looking great.
There we go, look, that's what I'm talking about, crystal clear. I mean, it's still got the sort of tinge of brown to it. That's what we want. We want the tannins in it, and it looks really authentic and good. So next to it for comparison, I mean, this one actually still got some tannins in it because that wood's still leaching some. But above, look, crystal clear water versus the new Blackwater tank. Didn't look good. But now that it's all clear, I want to add even more details. I think we should go out and collect more stuff that we can put on the bottom just to make it look even more authentic. And to do that, we can go near rivers and things, and you can find so many good sticks in that. And as long as you boil them up, you should be absolutely fine to put in your tank. I'm at the river's edge. I've got my kid's little bucket with me because I didn't have anything of my own to collect stuff in. But look, down here, we've got tons of little like sticks and twigs and different things we can use. There's over caught in the corners over here, there's loads of old sort of degrading leaves and things, so we can use all of those as well. Like, you know, there you go, look, all that stuff is going to look really good on the bottom of the tank. In you go. So yeah, there's all these different shades, and I always find that these sort of much more orangey leaves look really good in sort of tanks that you're looking for Blackwater with. I'm not sure if they release more tannins or not, but they look really cool anyway. Yeah, if you just rummage around in that, you find some really nice things. Like, look at this. I thought it was hair at first, but it's not. It's like a root system of something that's just eroded off. Keeping it. Oh yes, and I've just spotted a load of alder cones as well. Alder cones, is that what they're called? I think they are. There you go, some more there as well. Perfect, get loads of those. You just want to make sure that anything you do pick up is fully dried out, and then you can boil it and it'll all sink and just not cause algae issues or gunk or anything like that in the tank. Right, there we go. I've got a nice little amount there. Don't take more than you need. Got to take it home now and boil it up. Are you ready for school? You're not going to school, are you? Are you doing your teethies? Good girl. Henry, you'll go to school, yeah? What are you doing in there?
Look!
What's that?
Shut!
Oh, it goes on top of your toothbrush. So old school members of the channel will know, shh, don't tell the wife I'm using her sieve. Right, so I've got all of the stuff, all of the leaves, the sticks and everything in here. I transported them in water to make sure that they didn't dry out. Should all go in the tank now and just nicely sink to the bottom. Fingers crossed. How fantastic is that looking? So naturalistic. Now, you know, if you wanted to, you could stop right here, but I want to add some greenery too, not into the water, but on top. I think it will cast some really good shadows, just sort of change the lighting a little bit, cause a sort of nice flickering effect as well. Might have to do something about the flow of this area. Sorry, hang on, there we go, the filter. So it's coming out like that, and if floating plants go in front of that, they'll just get shot right underneath. So what I might have to do is just create a little sort of loop around it with some airline tube or something just to stop that happening. But yeah, the floating plants I want to use is salvinia. So over here, below the whole sort of Amazon aquarium, I've got a plant storage tank. Now normally I keep this much less stocked than that with salvinia, but I've let it grow like this for about 3 weeks or so, because I knew I was going to be doing this scape and I knew I wanted some nice healthy salvinia. So I'm going to take a few handfuls of this and just get it going over in that other tank. Oh yes, that's looking awesome. But do you know what? I want to add a tiny little bit of one plant, just one green plant in the background, because there's actually quite a lot of space behind this area and this area down here. And for that, I'm going to use the milfoil. Oh, that's bad reflections. Whoops, there we go. The milfoil you can see here is very vividly green. It grows crazy fast, will be really good for the water quality and for the fish health overall. So yeah, I'm just going to put a few bits of that in. Nothing big, and I just think it will really add to the scape. Alright, there we go. So yeah, it's not adding too much, just a little hint in the background there. You know, predominantly the foreground is where the action will be taking place as the fish sort of come in and out. And the beauty of the milfoil is that you don't need to plant it into like a substrate or anything. It'll pull all the nutrients it needs from the water column. Speaking of fish, why don't we just go and get them right now?
We are back at Maidenhead Aquatics. Matt has told me, there he is, you could just about see him in the background there. He's saved me some really cool Apistogramma pair. What is it, Matt? Apistogramma?
Viejita Super Red.
Viejita Super Red. You always say it like that as well. And also, we've got some really cool Glowlight Tetras as well to go in the new tank. Okay, now obviously there's somewhere along here, Matt.
Yeah, top row. Up here. Oh, they're in the corner together.
Yes. Okay, so here's the pair. Oh, we've got some glare, but it's all right. Look at those beauties. Look how red they are. Are they that red? Yes, they are that red. I was just thinking if the camera's making them more red, but they're not. They are so cool. And they're like a proper pair, yeah?
Yep, they've been paired up for a week or two now.
Okay, how long have you had them in the store? You saved them for me ages ago, didn't you?
Yeah, it's got to be 4 weeks, because the next order that comes from that supplier is coming in like today. So it's got to be 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Sweet. I don't know why everyone else needed to know that, but they but they do. Okay, we want these ones, the usual couple of Amanos, couple of Otto-Sinkless catfish for cleanup crew, and then down here next to these absolutely huge catfish, cories. These are emerald cories, I think, aren't they? Emeralds?
Yeah, well, they're emerald catfish, so they're a brochis, slightly different, related to a cory in a long-standing way, but yeah.
Giant cories.
Giant cories, easiest way.
It's probably hard to see. Look at that, massive. Well, next to the Glowlight Tetras. So yeah, I think the Glowlights will go really well in a Blackwater scape, so we definitely want some of them as well. Let's bag them up.
Do it.
So through the magic of editing, the tank has now been running for like over a week, and I've also had the fish back in the studio for about 5 days as well.
So we've got the Apistogramma in this tank. Let me step back for you. My grow out tank down there, they've been in there for a while. Some of you might have seen me mention them on some recent vlogs if you watch my vlogs as well. And then I've got the Glowlight Tetra down here in this tank. They're doing absolutely fine as well. In this tank is a couple of killifish with them as well. Getting along really nicely, no problems at all. They're pretty still because obviously there's not a lot going on in this tank, is there? But I think they should be really active in the new setup. But before we get either of them into the new setup, I just want to put in the cleanup crew just so they're all settled in before we move any sort of problematic bitey fish in. I don't think we will have that problem, but some people say Apistogramma can be quite aggressive towards a Mano shrimp. I've not experienced it just yet, to be honest, because over here in my other tank, yeah, over here in this setup for these Apistogramma in here, these are the Apistogramma hung schloi. Where are they? Oh, there we go. There's the male just poking his head up now. So yeah, they've been in here for over a month now, and we've got loads of Amanos in here, and we've got about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 autosynclus catfish. There's an Amano right now doing its job, doing a very, very good job. In fact, the tank is looking absolutely spotless. They've done very well. Apart from those like properly green bits that you've got on those rocks, that's because they're just being blasted by the light. But they're the only real spots of algae on this whole tank. So that's a really, really good job from all the cleanup crew. Hello, come out to see us. Oh, stunning Apistogramma this is. So there's a female as well in there. But anyway, yeah, my point of showing you was that yeah, they seem to live harmoniously with the Amano shrimp. Probably because my Amano shrimp are quite big. Whoa, what? Where'd you go? Yeah, anyway, I've got big Amano shrimp and I've got big ones to go in the new setup as well. And they are currently residing inside this bowl, so I'll get them out of here and move them across. Right, that's those guys all settled in. Now for the glow lights. Oh, they're looking good. Look at the colours on them. We got some chunky Glowlight Tetras there, haven't we? Look at this beast right in the middle there. Absolute monster. So these will colour up even more as we go along. Obviously, I would have just stressed them out a little just by moving them from the 2 tanks. But yeah, they'll be just, you know, swimming around the tank in no time at all. Let's get the Apistogramma in. Okay, straight away, the male has come down here. Looking, oh, water droplet. It's quite arty, isn't it? But he looks fantastic, doesn't he? Look at his redness. Again, it's only going to get better. Where did the female go? Anyone see? Ah, there's the female. Just underneath that stick there in the middle. You can just about see. That's exactly what I wanted them to do though. To be able to dart in and out of all these little areas. You know, find their own spaces. For some reason at the moment, this guy just thinks here is the perfect spot. It's his tank. He can do whatever he wants. I'm going to leave him alone for a while, come back and we can see what sort of behavioural differences there are, see what happens with the Glowlight Tetras. Some of them have got a little bit of sort of ragged fins at the back and dorsal fins. That actually happened at the shop, not in my care. Obviously in a shop, a lot of fish are in a very small area, so that'll all heal up okay though. But let's give these guys some time, come back and we can just see what the difference is in like a day or so.